Please welcome to the stage Raj Kumar and Carlo Monticelli.
Okay, great to be back here, and I'm joined by Carlo Monticelli. Carlo wears a couple of hats. He is, of course, the governor, the lead head of the Council of Europe Development Bank, CEB. We're thrilled to be partnered with CEB on this event. But I want to talk about your other hat first, if we could, which is you are also the chair of the Heads of the MDBs. This is, there's a lot of rooms, a lot of meetings that happen this week. There's a G20 meeting happening any minute now. But yours is the one I wish I got to be invited to. I wish I could be a fly on the wall in there. It's all of the MDB presidents in one room. They meet regularly. It's all off the record. It's just informal. They're not voting, but they get to really talk about what they can do together. And you've been pushing for the idea that the MDBs need to collaborate more, and that is kind of a real key to this new era in development finance. Tell us a little bit more about that. Why does this matter, and what's actually happening when it comes to MDB collaboration?
Well, I mean, it's really a pleasure to be here. It is, if you will, a double pleasure because I believe that I have two interesting stories to tell, one for each hat. Let's start with the one of MDB's collaboration. Now, MDBs have always been collaborating, being nice to each other, but clearly because of the size of the and complexity of the challenges, there was a common feeling that more had to be done. And last year, for the first time, the group just put together a viewpoint note, which was, for the first time, all 10 MDBs putting together a strategic vision to work together. And why this is important? Because working as a system allows to find common solution to common problems, to leverage our scarce resources, to just find ways to better serve our clients and the communities. So that's where the leap increase.
And I think for the countries, the borrowing countries, it's a huge advantage, right? Because they're so used to, as many of you in the room know, they're so used to having delegations come from every multilateral development bank with their own agenda, their own strategy. And part of this new era that you've heard outlined by Axel and Nadia and others today is we're in a new era where ideally countries set their own agenda. They say, hey, this is how we want to develop. And if the MDBs are not united, it makes it very hard for them to access the finance available in that system.
But indeed, you see, collaboration was this quantum leap in the quality of our collaboration, and not, if you will, a single overarching scheme, but rather the determination to come together and be practical in finding solution exactly to meet these needs. So, mutual reliance agreements. We do agree now much more than we used to. Then, when we co-finance a project, there will be only one set of rules that are being applied. So we co-finance with the EIB in this particular project. The EIB will take the lead and we will accept their due diligence, and the other way around in another project. We are sharing pipelines. We are increasingly cooperating in country-led and country-owned platforms where there is a specific issue that is to be addressed in a joint way to find synergies with the different skills that each of our institutions can bring to the table.
Yeah, and all of the MDBs, for the most part, are going through a massive reform movement. Everybody's very familiar with Ajay Banga's leadership at the World Bank and the big evolution roadmap that we've heard about there, and other MDBs too. Doing it together makes it easier, I think.
Absolutely, absolutely, because clearly we have a very different composition of shareholders. Of course, we are exposed each of us in a different way to certain geopolitical shocks, change in the political mood of our shareholders, which has in different circumstances to be somewhat accommodated, of course. But at the same time, clearly working together provides us with a stronger cultural and political resilience to stay course and deliver the development goals that ultimately the international community wants us to deliver.
Yeah, well, we'll come back to the MDB system and this idea of collaboration because it is an important theme, I think, that we're going to be hearing a lot this week. But I want to just talk for a minute about your other hat, Council of Europe Development Bank, because it's not a bank that's as well known, maybe outside of the region where you operate. It's a sizable bank, a $40 billion portfolio, but you have a really unique feature in that you have a social mandate, which is not what we hear from other banks. So, the World Bank, obviously this week, Axel talked about, it's all about jobs. You're not all about jobs at CEB. Tell us what you're about. What is different about the work you do?
Well, you see, we are the oldest multilateral development bank in the world after the World Bank. The SEB was established to take care of displaced people and refugees from the Second World War. And then there was attention to housing, most notably, but then education, health, really the core social sectors. And the bank, throughout its history, has suffered no mission creep whatsoever, stuck to its gun, and continued to focus on this mission that has become increasingly important, and I would say now is even more important than ever. I would say for three reasons. The first one is that the investment in the social sector is an essential element to have a fair, inclusive society. Amartya Sen made the case very strongly from a philosophical point of view. The second reason is that it makes a perfect sense in terms of investment in human capital to have an important investment in and focus on the social sector. Otherwise, human capital cannot develop. The access to good health, to have good productivity growth is so obvious that I don't need to elaborate on. And the third reason is one of having a cohesive society that is again necessarily underpinned by social investment, and this is something that is the foundation of, if you will, human happiness.
And in some ways, you're going back to your post-war roots with your work in Ukraine. Right, you had to go back to your shareholders to get support for that work. But just give people a sense, the war is not over by any means. What are you doing today in Ukraine? And presumably you're going to play a big role if and when the war does end.
Well, as soon as the aggression in Ukraine took place, the international community rallied about resilience and reconstruction. Alas, the reconstruction movement is moving away, but this makes the work on resilience all the more necessary. And this is where, once again, the social sector has a crucial importance to maintain the fabric and the morale of society in such a difficult time as war. So we have intervened in the various sectors of our social mandate, most notably housing. This is where, with the 3 successive operation, we have already given back a shelter to 5,000 families who completely lost it because of the war. We collaborate very tightly with the government just to have their choice, their empowerment in deciding where our operations should take place.
I want to get your take on one of the other big themes this week, which is going to be around climate finance. Obviously, it's become controversial now at the global level, certainly for the World Bank. For you, not so. But climate finance could potentially be seen as not a socially inclusive issue. And I wonder, how do you bring a socially inclusive lens to that? And what would that actually look like?
Well, we are not a climate bank. We are not going to finance, say, a solar power plant because of it. We are adopting what we call the vulnerability lens. We are going to look at the cases where the most vulnerable population requires a type of intervention, and then we have either, if you will, the just transition approach, and I will come back to it in one moment, or we look at climate co-benefits in the social investment that we finance. So there is a school that has to be retrofitted. Well, we make sure that is meeting the best standards to avoid to be climate friendly. We have climate investment that bring about major displacement in society, and risk, by the way, also to become controversial just for this reason. This is where social investment and attention to the social aspect of climate financing becomes crucial. And this is where our special focus and expertise becomes really very valuable.
I said I wish I got to be in these rooms when you're having these MDB head meetings. I assume you're bringing this perspective about social inclusion, this vulnerability lens there. Are you finding that other MDBs are picking up this idea from you? Is there a move to socialize the idea of social vulnerability and impact across the MDB system, given your role?
Absolutely. I mean, we have had working group of all the institutions just focusing on that, which has produced a report that has been published, is available. Download it, and it proved a very, very interesting exercise of knowledge sharing, and even increasing the urgency to do things together to deliver more impact. And this is something that we put forward, and given our background, and the other participants of the group were very keen to follow. So I'm quite proud and happy about the result of this.
So a big part of the theme of this day here at Devex Impact House is kind of looking at what does the future of the development sector look like? And the MDB system is a huge part of that. Given your role, you're working on essentially trying to make these institutions not just work as a set of separate institutions, but actually work like one system. What does that actually mean in practical terms? You know, if we look forward to a new architecture for global development, what will it look like if it really is one MDB system? Granted, they each have their own shareholders, they have their own mandates, but that they operate in a different way. How will we know that something has really shifted there?
Well, you can tell from many signs of operations that are done together faster and better. Let's look, for example, at the agenda of capital adequacy. making better use of our capital resources. There have been joint work operation done together. So if you think about, say, raising hybrid capital, of course, when the whole system does it as a system, i.e. we have a coordinated approach and the idea in, for example, experimenting with this new type of raising funds, if needed, you could tell that something is happening. And another example that I quoted is the mutual reliance agreements, that they are bilateral, but they just share the same philosophy, the same approach, and you see so many of them happening together that clearly you can say, wow, this is really the banks working as a system.
Yeah, and I think a couple of practical ones that you've alluded to, there's this whole idea of originate to syndicate or originate to distribute, where the MDBs will originate loans or originate investments and then sell them on to the private sector, which lets you to recycle that capital quickly and do more. And there's also the fact that if you change the way you handle your balance sheets, this so-called capital adequacy framework, you're subject to what the ratings agencies think. And it's a lot easier to do it as a group and have the ratings agencies look at this as a common practice. So I agree, this is one of those areas that sounds nice, collaboration. Oh, isn't that a nice thing? It's actually a really hard-nosed, practical thing. And I'm thrilled that you're bringing it to the stage and continuing your leadership on this issue. So thank you very much, Carlo Monticelli. Please join me in thanking the president of the SEB and the head of the MDB group. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.